Starting us off for Cavalry FC, we'd like to welcome Captain Nik Ledgerwood. Todd, you can start us off. Go ahead.
Nik, first of all, your thoughts on the evening?
Yeah, I think, we got off in the first half. I thought it actually went back and forth there for a bit, but, they had the quality to finish off their chances, and we didn't punish them with the few chances that we had. And obviously then on the back foot going into halftime, we had a good talk about staying true to our principles and believing in it. And that's what we came out and did in the second half. I think second half was a completely different game for us as far as possession and living in their half. Unlucky not to get rewarded for the work and effort we put in the second half. But at the end of the day, it's a long season this year, and we're going to take the positives, work on it, and we'll review the negatives. And we'll carry another game in 2 or 3 days here. So,
Do you start to press panic button a little bit when you haven't got a goal in a couple games now?
No. I think we're far from pressing a panic button, Todd. We're trusting in our process. We know we have an unbelievable depth of players this year, unbelievable talented players, and look, it's our 4th game in, so we're definitely not hitting the panic button here. We're gonna stay true to the process.
Thanks, Nik.
Thanks, Todd.
Thank you, Todd. Moses, you can go ahead.
Thanks, Paige. I appreciate that, and thanks, Nik, for taking the time here. Just can you talk about what's kind of transpired over this past, I guess, 2 matches, and kind of leading up to Todd's question a little bit, just finding the right chemistry. Do you feel sometimes it just comes down to kind of knowing the players a little bit more on your team and trying to figure that out while you're in the bubble?
Yeah. I mean, a little bit. Look, we got the luxury that we're rotating a lot of players because we have the depth, we have the quality, and maybe that is one thing that hasn't clicked yet, is those relationships with all our players, right? Not having a proper preseason in those games. Maybe that takes a little bit of time, and maybe that, obviously the hardest part of a soccer game is to put the ball in the back of the net, and that's where that last little bit of quality and magic's going to come at the end of the day.
And my follow-up question is just in regards to this match. I know you have one very quickly on the weekend. The ability to put this behind you and forget about the last couple of these results and make sure you come out with the win on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've played some exceptional football at times, and I think we just got to ride that and take the positives. Obviously, the boys are devastated tonight. It's a tough one to swallow, but we'll take 24 hours, we'll digest it, and then we got to move on. Like you said, we got games back to back. I think we have 4 games now in 9 days, something like that. So there's no time to really, get to bottom out with just one result. So like I said, 24-hour rule, we'll digest it, we'll break it down, and then we'll move on.
Thanks, Nik.
Charlie, you can go ahead.
Thanks, Paige. Hey, Nik, as you mentioned, you guys had a ton of possession tonight, especially in the second half. I think you said you're kind of living in their half a bit. So I'm just wondering why you think that maybe didn't necessarily translate into as many chances as you might have liked.
Yeah, I think when you're behind 2-0, it's easy for them just to get in a very good defensive block, and that's what they did in the second half. Obviously they're back-to-back champions for a reason, and they do have that quality. So we got to find it within ourselves to when a team does that, how do we break them down? And that's up to us then for the next 24 games of the season. Our end goal is to be in the playoffs. And, at the end of the season, that's what's going to count.
Thanks, Nik.
We'll wrap it up there, Nik. Thank you very much for being here with us tonight, and we'll see you at the next match.
Sounds good. Thanks, guys.
Todd, you can go ahead and start us off again.
Coach, any concern about not getting goals again tonight?
Oh, listen, you always want to score goals. It's just one of them. We're rotating. We've always thought that we're going to look at different things, different pitches, and we want answers coming out of Winnipeg. So there's no real concerns about not scoring. We're just knowing what works and what doesn't work. And part of this, we made our changes at halftime because we thought that was right. Jose Escalante's played a lot of minutes. Joe was feeling something as well. And we're trying to manage our players as best we can because we've got Davey Norman and Sergio on the sidelines. We start adding a couple more of them. Then you start to worry about the coming out of this bubble. We want to know what our best patterns are. We've got some good answers. And sometimes when you lose, you learn.
Thanks, Coach.
Moses, you can go ahead.
Hi, Tommy. Just in regards to the match, is it a little, I guess, tougher pill to swallow knowing you get down by Forge in the contest and the way kind of things kind of turned out at the end of the day?
Yeah, I mean, I said, we can look at all statistics. We can look at possession, passes forward, challenges, duels won, all of those in our favor. But all that matters really is that top corner, and it's the goals. And one person decided on the day, and that's Kyle Becker. So until we learn how to stop him better, this could be a repeat pattern. So we just got to manage our rotations, keep trusting the process. That was the only real thing. We didn't trust in the game plan that we had practiced before until the second half. And by then, it's a mountain to climb.
Thanks, Tommy.
Charlie, you can go ahead.
Thanks, Paige. Hey, Tommy, you already mentioned kind of the changes at halftime, but I'm wondering if you could maybe talk us through it a little bit more. Was it kind of about throwing something different that, it's very hard to play against a team that's up 2-0 and they can sit in that low block as Nik mentioned, but you bring Victor back and maybe the center back got a little wider. Was it just kind of trying to throw something different at them?
Yeah, listen, before this game, we had a plan A, B, and C, and we executed a couple of them. We were way better in the second half, and had we started like that with the game plan we had practiced and rehearsed, we wouldn't be having these conversations. But we didn't, and like I said, we'll just learn from it. But yeah, we wanted to test and sample a few things, because what Forge do very well is they're not worried about passing the ball. If they're up a lead, they'll just park the bus and sit behind and see the game out. And credit to them, they manage their energies, they manage the result, and they got the 3 points. So it's a tough learning process, but we'll swallow it.
And just one of the guys that did come on there was Ali Musi to make his debut. What did you make of him in that 45 minutes?
Not bad, considering he hasn't played for 18 months. I mean, he's only going to get better.
Thanks, Tommy.
We'll take our last question here from Christian. You can go ahead.
Thank you, Paige. Appreciate it. Good to see you. Hey, Tommy, great to see you. Sorry about tonight, mate. Maybe you could just talk us a little bit about what it's like as a leader when you're down like that and thinking big picture, and you remove players like Escalante, who I'm sure you could have loved to have played again in the second half there, but you're really playing the big picture. I think this is only, 3% of the season in a game like this, a little bit different from last year.
Yeah, you spot it. If this was the Island Games and we're trying to win the group to qualify for the next round, we'd probably have forced a few things. We weren't. Salamani was, we were thinking of starting him, but he took a knock in training, tripped his tooth and had a bit rattled, so we weren't sure about starting him there. There's a couple of things we would have done. Even Sergio Camargo would have probably played at some point, had this just been about a win at all costs. It's not. As we've learned the hard way, I think we've got the winningest record in 2019. It's not about that. It's about, finishing the last 2 games of the season, being in a position to be in the top 4 in the playoffs, and then performing on 2 games. That's all people remember. So we've had to change our little bit of thinking. We want to play the right way as often as best we can, but we're not going to take any shortcuts.